There's a warning you need to hear before this message begins. Because if you truly understand what confidence really is, your life will never look the same again. This isn't about fake smiles or pretending you have it all together. It's about rewiring your belief system so deeply that fear can't recognize you anymore. Once you unlock this kind of confidence, people will sense it before you even speak. Opportunities will move toward you, and everything that used to intimidate you will start to shrink in your presence. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's awareness. It's walking into a room and no longer asking, "Am I enough?" Because you already know you are. It's not loud, it's not desperate, and it doesn't beg for validation. True confidence moves in silence. It's the calm that others mistake for mystery, the stillness that unsettles those who still depend on approval. When you carry yourself like someone who belongs, the world starts to rearrange itself to make space for you. But here's the truth few people are willing to tell you. Confidence is not something you find. It's something you build. It's forged in moments when no one claps for you, when no one believes in you, and when every voice in your head says, "You're not ready." You don't wait for confidence. You act, and confidence follows. Every time you take a step despite the doubt, you train your mind to trust you a little more. That's how you become unstoppable. Maybe life has broken you before. Maybe you've been overlooked, doubted, or left behind. But here's what most forget: those moments didn't destroy you. They trained you. Every disappointment, every rejection, every no was shaping a strength inside you that comfort can't create. Confidence grows in discomfort. It's the result of surviving what was meant to silence you. When you realize that nothing outside of you has the power to define you, confidence stops being a performance. It becomes your nature. So when they question your worth, don't argue. When they doubt your ability, don't defend. Just keep moving. Because the most powerful response to disbelief is undeniable results. Walk with a quiet fire. Let your actions echo louder than your explanations. You were never meant to blend in. You were designed to rise. This is your warning. Once you embrace real confidence, you can't go back. You'll stop chasing people who don't see your value. You'll stop negotiating your worth for approval. You'll walk differently, speak differently, and attract differently. And when you do, some people will be uncomfortable. Let them be. Because confidence doesn't shrink to fit the room. It expands the room to fit your purpose. Confidence is not a gift handed to you by life. It's a muscle you develop through repetition, through persistence, and through the decision to keep showing up even when no one is watching. You don't wake up one morning suddenly sure of yourself. You build that certainty brick by brick, moment by moment, choice by choice. It's built in the quiet hours, when no one claps for you, in the lonely nights, when your dreams feel too heavy to carry, and in the silent prayers you whisper when you're unsure if anyone hears you. Confidence doesn't come from perfection. It grows from the acceptance of imperfection, from learning that mistakes don't define you, they refine you. Think of the people you admire, the ones who walk into a room and seem to command it without effort. They weren't born that way. What you're seeing is the result of battles fought in silence. Moments of doubt conquered, fears faced, and failures turned into wisdom. Confidence isn't the absence of insecurity. It's the decision not to let insecurity control you. It's understanding that even the most self-assured people still feel fear. They've just learned how to move through it. They act in spite of uncertainty. And that's where real confidence begins. In motion, not in waiting. Too many people wait to feel ready before they act. They tell themselves, "Once I'm more confident, I'll start the business. I'll speak up. I'll take the risk." But confidence doesn't arrive before the leap. It's born because of it. Every time you do something that scares you, you train your mind to trust you a little more. You show yourself that you are capable of surviving discomfort. And once your mind begins to trust you, your confidence starts to rise naturally. It's not about pretending to be fearless. It's about teaching yourself that fear isn't fatal. The truth is, confidence is built in the small, unglamorous moments, the ones that seem to go unnoticed. It's in choosing discipline over comfort, effort over excuses, and growth over safety. It's saying yes to challenges that stretch you and no to distractions that shrink you. Every small victory, every moment of courage adds another layer to your foundation. Even when you fail, especially when you fail, you're still building. Because failure isn't the opposite of confidence. It's one of its main ingredients. The most powerful people in the world are not the ones who never doubt themselves. They're the ones who've learned how to keep moving when doubt appears. Confidence doesn't mean you always know the outcome. It means you trust yourself to handle whatever comes next. That self-trust is sacred. It's built through consistency, through keeping promises to yourself, through doing what you said you would do, even when the mood changes. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you build evidence that you are reliable, and reliability breeds confidence. You don't need external validation to feel confident. You don't need everyone to believe in you before you begin. In fact, the moment you stop depending on outside approval is the moment your confidence starts to solidify. Because real confidence doesn't scream, "Look at me." It whispers, "I know who I am." It's the kind that doesn't crumble under criticism or inflate under praise. It stays steady. It stays grounded. It knows its worth without needing applause. So when you find yourself questioning your ability, remember this. Confidence is not something you find waiting out in the world. It's something you build quietly inside of you. It's the reward for choosing courage over comfort, truth over pretending, and progress over perfection. You build it every time you rise after falling, every time you show up when no one expects you to, and every time you decide that your faith in yourself is stronger than your fear of failing. Confidence isn't luck. It's proof that you've been doing the work. And you're finally starting to trust the person you've become. Fear is not your enemy. It is your most powerful teacher if you are willing to listen. Every time fear shows up, it carries a message, a lesson, and an opportunity for transformation. Most people spend their lives running from it, building walls of distraction to avoid what fear is trying to reveal. But the truth is, fear is simply energy, a signal that something meaningful is waiting on the other side. It shows up not to stop you, but to prepare you, to stretch you, to strengthen you. Fear appears when your life is asking you to grow beyond who you've been. Think about it. Every great moment in your life began with some level of fear. The first time you spoke in front of others. The first time you took a risk on something uncertain. The first time you chose to stand for something when it wasn't popular. Fear was there, whispering all the reasons you shouldn't do it. But when you pushed past it, what followed was pride, progress, and power. That pattern never changes. Fear will always knock before breakthrough arrives. The problem is that most people misunderstand fear. They see it as a red light, a signal to stop. But in reality, fear is a green light disguised in discomfort. It's your spirit saying, "This is the edge of your comfort zone, and the next level of your life lies just beyond this line." The moment you start treating fear as a compass instead of a cage, everything begins to shift. You realize that fear only grows in the spaces you avoid. The more you face it, the smaller it becomes. And soon, what once paralyzed you becomes the very thing that propels you. When you feel fear rising, that's not weakness. That's awareness. It means you're alive to something bigger than your current reality. The people who achieve greatness aren't fearless. They've simply trained themselves to move forward even when their hands are shaking. They've learned that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's mastery over reaction. When fear says, "You can't," they answer, "Watch me." They take one more step, and in that step they expand what's possible. Fear also has a way of exposing the truth about who you are. It reveals what you value, what you care about, and what you've been hiding behind. The moment fear points to something specific, a dream, a conversation, a decision, pay attention. That's often the exact direction you're meant to go. The presence of fear is often the evidence of purpose. It wouldn't appear if what you were about to do didn't matter. Life has a strange way of rewarding those who face what others run from. Every time you confront fear, you collect strength. You gain experience. You grow proof that you can handle more than you thought. Over time, those moments build into confidence. The kind that can't be taught, only earned. And when you realize that fear has been your greatest trainer all along, you stop fighting it. You start respecting it, because without it, there would be no growth, no stretching, no evolution. Sometimes fear disguises itself as logic. It tries to convince you that waiting is wise, that safety is smarter, that timing isn't right. But the truth is, those are just well-dressed excuses. The mind is clever at protecting comfort, even when comfort is the very thing holding you back. Fear will always promise safety, but it never delivers peace. Only movement does that. The moment you take the first step, fear begins to lose its grip because it feeds on inaction. Action starves fear faster than any motivational speech ever could. So when you feel fear, in your chest, in your voice, in your heart, don't fight it. Feel it fully, and then move anyway. Let it remind you that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're stepping into something significant. Fear is not there to break you. It's there to introduce you to your next level. You were never meant to live a life small enough to be comfortable all the time. Fear is proof that you're standing in the doorway of something extraordinary, and the only way out is through. True confidence doesn't demand attention, it commands it. It doesn't announce itself with noise or arrogance, because it doesn't need to. It lives in quiet power, a calm, steady energy that fills the room before a single word is spoken. You can feel it in people who have nothing to prove and nothing to hide. Their confidence isn't built on appearance, titles, or applause. It's built on inner security. They've faced themselves, confronted their weaknesses, and made peace with their imperfections. That's why their silence speaks louder than most people's shouting. Real confidence moves differently. It doesn't rush to impress or compete, because it knows that what's real doesn't beg to be seen. It shows up fully, does what it came to do, and leaves without needing validation. Quiet confidence comes from self-awareness. The deep understanding that your worth isn't dependent on the world's reaction. You don't need to convince anyone that you're enough when you've already accepted that truth for yourself. The truly confident don't perform. They exist in alignment with who they are. It's easy to mistake arrogance for confidence in a world obsessed with noise. Arrogance screams, "Look at me." Confidence whispers, "I'm here." Arrogance is fragile. It needs recognition to survive. Confidence is stable. It survives even in solitude. Arrogance is the mask people wear when they're still afraid of being unseen. Confidence, on the other hand, is freedom. It's the ability to stand alone and still feel complete. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most secure. Often, they're just the most afraid of silence. Quiet power comes from discipline, self-control, and clarity. It's built through consistency, by showing up, keeping promises, and knowing that your value doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. That's why truly confident people are calm under pressure. They don't need to react to every opinion or defend every choice. They understand that their peace is too expensive to be spent on proving points. Confidence gives you permission to stay centered when chaos surrounds you. It allows you to move with purpose, not impulse. You can always recognize quiet confidence by its stillness. It doesn't chase approval or fear rejection. It doesn't inflate under praise or collapse under criticism. It remains balanced, steady, and grounded. That kind of confidence is magnetic because it creates trust. People can feel the stability in your energy. They know they're standing next to someone who isn't pretending. When you no longer need the world's permission to feel worthy, you become unshakable. Building quiet confidence requires you to know yourself on a level that others can't define. You learn what drives you, what drains you, what strengthens you, and what aligns with your truth. You stop measuring your success by external standards and start measuring it by inner growth. You begin to move with intention instead of reaction. You learn that peace is the loudest form of power, and that the person who doesn't need to prove anything is often the one who already has everything. Confidence is not about always being right. It's about being comfortable when you're not. It's the ability to say, "I don't know," without feeling smaller, and to say, "I was wrong," without feeling defeated. It's the grace to learn publicly without shame, and the courage to stand privately without applause. That's the kind of confidence that sustains you. The kind that doesn't crumble when people misunderstand or misjudge you. The most powerful version of confidence is when you stop trying to control perception. You realize that not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. You don't shrink to fit small minds, and you don't expand for empty praise. You stay grounded in authenticity, because when you know who you are, the world's noise starts to fade into the background. Quiet confidence is peace in motion. It doesn't need to shout to be seen. It's not the storm, it's the stillness that follows it. And once you learn to move from that place of calm certainty, you no longer chase power. you become it. Rejection is one of life's most misunderstood blessings. In the moment, it feels like a door slammed shut, a judgment on your worth, or a painful reminder that you weren't chosen. But what if rejection isn't life punishing you, but protecting you? What if every closed door is divine redirection, a way of steering you away from something that would have limited you? The truth is, rejection doesn't mean you're not good enough. It often means you've outgrown where you were trying to fit. Sometimes life has to break your plans so it can make room for something greater. It's natural to take rejection personally. When someone tells you no, when a dream slips through your fingers, when you're left out or overlooked, the sting cuts deep. But in those moments, you're being trained to understand that validation is temporary and self-belief is eternal. Rejection tests what your confidence is built on. If your worth depends on acceptance, rejection will destroy you. But if your worth is rooted in purpose, rejection will refine you. Every no you receive has the potential to become the foundation for your next breakthrough. If you choose to see it differently, think about the times you thought something was meant for you. The job, the person, the opportunity, and it didn't work out. At first, it felt unfair, maybe even cruel. But later, looking back, you realized that what you were once begging for would have held you back. That's how life operates. It removes what's not meant for you long before you can understand why. Rejection is a rerouting mechanism. It redirects your energy, forces you to reassess, and opens doors you never knew existed. The delay that frustrates you today might be the protection that saves your future. There's power in learning to say thank you for what didn't happen, because often the things that fall apart are the very things clearing space for what's about to align. Rejection teaches resilience. It shows you that your value isn't tied to being accepted, but to continuing despite being denied. Every time you rise after rejection, you prove that your spirit is stronger than circumstance. That's how inner confidence grows, not from comfort, but from recovery. Each no strengthens your next. Each closed door prepares you to walk through the right one with authority. Rejection also reveals truth. It strips away illusions about people, about situations, and sometimes even about yourself. It shows you what's real and what was only an expectation. The pain of being rejected can sharpen your discernment, helping you recognize where you truly belong. It's a refining process, not a punishment. The world's rejection is often God's redirection, moving you out of alignment with something lesser, so you can step into something greater. When you learn to see rejection as guidance instead of failure, you stop chasing what isn't meant for you. You start trusting timing, trusting process, and trusting that what's meant for you won't need force to remain. Rejection teaches patience, the kind of patience that knows your purpose can't be taken from you, only postponed until you're ready to carry it. Sometimes you're not being denied, you're being developed. There's preparation happening in the silence that rejection creates, and that stillness is shaping the confidence you'll need for your next chapter. So the next time you hear no, don't let it close your spirit. Let it build your focus. Let it make you sharper, stronger, wiser. Don't waste time trying to reopen doors that were never yours. Walk away with gratitude, knowing something better is aligning quietly behind the scenes. Rejection isn't an ending, it's a redirection towards something designed for you. What looks like loss is often the beginning of clarity, and when you finally reach the moment where everything aligns, you'll understand why every no had to happen exactly the way it did. Confidence changes the way you move through the world, and in turn, it changes what the world brings to you. When you walk with certainty, you attract differently. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because your energy begins to align with clarity and purpose. People can sense it. They can feel when someone believes in themselves. That quiet self-assurance draws respect, trust, and opportunity. Confidence is magnetic. It pulls the right things toward you and repels what no longer serves you. It's not luck or coincidence. It's the natural response of a universe that mirrors the energy you project. When you carry confidence, your presence begins to speak before you do. You no longer need to convince others of your value, because your energy already declares it. You attract people who see your worth without explanation and repel those who depend on your weakness to feel powerful. The way you see yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. When you walk like you belong, when you speak like you matter, when you act like your dreams are non-negotiable, you stop begging for opportunities and start creating them. Confidence also changes what you tolerate. You stop settling for half-hearted efforts, for inconsistent treatment, for situations that drain your spirit. You begin to realize that saying no to what diminishes you is an act of self-respect, not pride. The more confident you become, the less validation you need from the outside world. You stop chasing attention and start valuing peace. That shift alone changes everything you attract, because people and opportunities that once resonated with your insecurity no longer fit the frequency of your growth. Confidence upgrades your environment by upgrading your energy. There's something powerful about being comfortable in your own presence. Confident people don't chase relationships, recognition, or rewards. They attract them by standing in alignment with who they are. That's because authenticity has gravity. It pulls in what's genuine and repels what's fake. When you walk in truth, everything false begins to fall away. You start meeting people who match your vibration, who inspire you to evolve, rather than drain you to stay the same. That's not magic, it's alignment. Confidence creates that alignment. It's important to understand that confidence doesn't eliminate challenges. It transforms your approach to them. When you believe in yourself, obstacles stop feeling like walls and start looking like doors waiting to be opened. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start saying, "What is this teaching me?" That mindset shift turns every difficulty into an opportunity for expansion, and that energy, the refusal to be defeated, is exactly what draws success closer. The world bends toward those who refuse to bend under pressure. Confidence changes how you speak, how you stand, how you show up. It's reflected in your tone, your posture, and your presence. You carry yourself with a calm assurance that says, "I know who I am." And that energy draws the same in return. People are drawn to those who make them feel secure. Not through dominance, but through certainty. When you believe in yourself deeply, you give others permission to believe in themselves too. Confidence doesn't just change what you attract, it transforms the atmosphere around you. But perhaps the most beautiful part is this: confidence doesn't just attract things, it attracts peace. You stop running, proving, comparing, and competing. You begin to trust that what's meant for you will find you, not because you sat still, but because you stayed true. The opportunities that align with your authenticity can recognize you only when you stop pretending. That's the real magic of confidence. It clears the noise, centers your energy, and makes space for the right things to arrive. What once felt impossible begins to flow naturally because your energy is no longer chasing what doesn't belong to you. When you truly embody confidence, you realize you were never meant to chase. You were meant to attract. Everything begins to change not because the world shifts, but because you do. And when you do, life rearranges itself to meet you where you've finally decided to stand. In your worth, in your peace, and in your power. Confidence is not something that appears out of nowhere. It is a daily decision, a conscious choice to believe in yourself, even when doubt tries to take the lead. Every morning, you wake up with two voices. One that whispers reasons to stay small, and another that reminds you of who you can become. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck isn't talent or luck. It's the decision they make at the start of each day. Confidence isn't a mood that visits you when life feels easy. It's a discipline you practice even when everything around you feels uncertain. There are days when you won't feel strong. You'll question your direction, your worth, and your purpose. But confidence isn't about pretending those moments don't exist. It's about deciding to move anyway. It's telling yourself, I will show up, even if I don't feel ready. Because readiness doesn't create confidence, repetition does. The more you act in alignment with your goals, the more you train your mind to trust you. Confidence grows in the space between fear and action. The moment you choose to move forward, despite the shaking hands, despite the doubt, despite the fear of failing again. Each day offers you countless chances to practice confidence in small, almost invisible ways. It's in the way you speak to yourself, the posture you hold, the effort you bring to simple tasks. It's choosing courage over comfort when you'd rather stay silent, and patience over panic when life delays your plans. Confidence doesn't come from the big victories. It's built through consistency, through keeping promises to yourself, through doing what you said you'd do long after the motivation fades. Those small acts compound, shaping your identity into someone who trusts their own word. And when you trust yourself, the world starts to trust you too. Confidence as a daily decision also means refusing to let yesterday's failure define today's effort. You don't carry yesterday's mistakes into the new day. You learn from them, then leave them behind. Every sunrise is an invitation to begin again, to reset your energy, your focus, and your self-belief. You decide, once again, to show up as someone who refuses to let fear or failure write the story. That's how transformation happens, not in one dramatic moment, but in the quiet repetition of self-trust. The reason this daily decision matters so much is because confidence isn't something that stays with you permanently. It's fluid. It grows when you feed it and fades when you neglect it. That's why you must nurture it every day, not with empty affirmations, but with action. You earn confidence by doing the hard things you once believed you couldn't. You show yourself, again and again, that you can handle life's pressure. Over time, that belief becomes instinctive. You stop needing constant reassurance because your experience becomes your evidence. There will always be moments when you feel unprepared, when the task seems too big or the outcome too uncertain. But the decision to act, to speak, to move, to try, is what separates the confident from the hesitant. Confidence isn't about eliminating fear. It's about redefining your relationship with it. It's about saying, I feel afraid, but I'm still going. That single choice, repeated daily, reshapes your reality. Each act of courage builds another layer of strength, until what once terrified you becomes second nature. You don't wait for confidence to appear before living the life you want. You build it by living that life anyway. Every sunrise is a new opportunity to decide who you're going to be. Timid or bold, hesitant or certain, reactive or intentional. Confidence grows in the direction of your choices. So choose to believe in yourself, even when it feels hard. Choose to move, even when it feels slow. Choose to rise, even when no one is watching. Because one day, without even realizing it, you'll wake up and see that all those daily decisions, the quiet, unseen moments of courage, have built a confidence so steady, so unshakable, that nothing can take it away. So from this moment on, decide that fear no longer gets a vote. Speak like someone who believes, move like someone who's already chosen, and live like someone who's done apologizing for existing. This confidence will change your life, if you let it. A Wisdom in Minutes Audiobooks.